Okay, so if you just come to sitting in the centre of your mat and cross the legs, if that feels uncomfortable, you can just sit forward onto the ankles and just sit back onto the ankles. So whichever's comfortable for you. And just rest the hands into the knees, roll the shoulders back and down. Okay, so welcome to the class. If anyone doesn't know me, my name's Holly, and this is our Hatha Flow class. So today we're focusing on spinal twisting, just because I don't know how everyone else has been feeling, but I've been sitting down a lot more, like on the sofa and at my desk at home, and just really felt like my spine is starting to get really tense. So I thought we'd do lots of twists today. Twists can feel quite intense, especially if you don't move the back a lot. So just make sure that you pace yourself, and you never have to be really forceful with anything. So just be really kind to your body, and just go to a level that doesn't feel painful. And then if something does start hurting, you can come out of the posture. You don't have to wait, for me to say to come out of a posture. So just do exactly what you need to do today, and really listen to your body and what you need. Okay, so we'll start by taking a deep breath in. As you exhale, let the eyes softly close. Allow the chin to just drop down very slightly so that you can lengthen the back of the neck. Try to just give yourself a gentle lift through your posture, and try to feel the two little sitting bones underneath your bottom so that you're sitting quite upright. You can always sit on the block beneath the hips if that's more comfortable for your legs. And then as you breathe, try to begin to slow and deepen the breath. Try to start sending that breath to your stomach. If it helps you, you can bring one hand to the stomach. As you inhale, the stomach expands, and as you exhale, the stomach contracts. With each breath, breathing in relaxation and breathing out tension. And whilst we're here, we're just going to have a moment to really focus all of our energy and awareness internally. So we're trying to bring our thoughts away from the external world and focus inward. Start to recognize what's going on in your body and in your mind. So particularly perhaps focusing on your back and shoulders as the focus of the class. So maybe just starting to try and feel the way down the back. See if there are any areas that you feel are a little uncomfortable. And then you can really try and focus on releasing these areas throughout the class. Still trying to maintain that continuous rhythm of the breath. So you're breathing at a comfortable, steady pace. Notice how the mind is today. Do you have any particular frustrations or worries that feel quite heavy or taking up quite a lot of your thoughts? You don't have to go into the story of those thoughts or why you feel a certain way. You're just noticing. You're just observing yourself. And this self-awareness and being able to observe ourselves helps us to take back power and control over our emotions and our physical well-being. Notice through the whole body if there's anywhere else that feels tense. Sometimes the jaw or the hands. Maybe you're holding tension in the stomach. Allow yourself to breathe and rest these areas. We're just going to come into a short breathing exercise before we begin. We're going to do 2 cycles, and it will be slowly breathing in, sipping the air in through the nose. We'll then hold the breath. Whilst you're holding the breath, just keep the lungs just comfortably filled. You don't have to strain your lungs with the biggest breath you can take, and try to keep the body relaxed as you hold the breath. And then as you exhale, it's nice and slow and controlled as well, and through the nose. So I'll guide you through. So start to exhale, completely emptying the lungs, and inhale slow. 4, 3, 2, lungs comfortably filled, and hold the breath. Relax the shoulders, the chin is dropped slightly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale with control. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Contract the stomach. Start to push all the stale air out of the lungs. Push, contract, and inhale for 4, 3. Fill the belly. 2, 1, and holding the breath. Try to feel relaxed. Try to find comfort whilst holding this breath. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 8, 7, slowly 6, 5, 4, 3. Now this is your last push. Really contract the tummy, really empty the lungs, and then just return to your normal cycle of breath. Belly breathing. Bring the hands to the heart, pressing the thumbs into the chest. Softly bow the head down and open the eyes. Good. So we're going to come to lying on our back first to start our warm-up. So lying down, tuck the hips underneath you slightly so that you can feel the whole length of the back against the floor. Take the feet together and then let the knees drop out to the side. So the legs are completely relaxed. And then we'll just reach the arms over the head. Just let them fall really naturally. A moment here to concentrate on that steady rhythm of breath and making sure you're still feeling that expansion in the stomach as you inhale, contraction as you exhale. 2 more breaths here. Let the knees really drop out to the side. 1. Good. Knees come together. Arms come out to the side, and then we're going to lift the knees up to 90 degrees and then just squeeze them in towards the stomach, and then drop that right foot down, so point the right toe away. And then we're going to just take over this left knee over toward the right hand. So this is quite a deep spinal twist. You're aiming for that knee to come toward the floor. It's okay if it doesn't touch. If it feels like too much of a deep twist, you can pop that block or a cushion underneath your left knee so that it's a bit more supported off the floor. Whilst you're in this twist, really try to just let gravity do the work. Just let go. You don't need to use any of the back muscles in the stretch. You're just completely releasing. You can look over toward your left hand if you feel comfortable enough to. Feel that release through the lower back. And with every exhalation, try to see if you can relax the body even further. Your exhalations are your opportunity to try and find a bit more depth in your stretch. And also to mentally think about letting go perhaps of worry or stress. One more breath on this side. Very gently look straight back up to the ceiling and then start to roll just to the center. Give yourself one breath here in the middle. And then lift the right knee up, left toe points away. And then start to gradually take that right knee over to the left side. Remember, you could put a block or a cushion between that right knee and the floor if you needed to. And then maybe looking over to the right hand. And then really just trying to focus on that releasing and grounding down into the floor. The more you let go, the better and deeper twist you'll feel in that lower back. Remembering to work with your exhalations. One more breath here. Release back to the center. Take it really slow. Here for a moment. Hug the knees into the chest. Just rock side to side a little bit to massage that lower back against the floor. Good. And start to lift your way up to sitting. Lovely. Take a moment here just to come into a gentle forward fold. So rock on the hips, just moving the bottom out to the side so that you can feel the sitting bones underneath you. Keep the knees nice and soft. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, lead with the chest coming toward the shins, the head pushing toward the toes. The hands are just rested to support you. Try to breathe length into the spine, so it's like your hips are being pulled down and away, and the top of your head being pulled forward and across. Every inhale, you're breathing the spine longer, and exhaling, maybe coming a little lower. One more breath. And inhale, lift up, and then just crossing the legs. Again, make sure you can feel the sitting bones underneath you. So a little rock forward. Good. And we're going to just place that left hand just behind you. Breathe the right arm up. Take that hand just across the outside of the left knee. And then turn over your left shoulder. And any of these sitting positions, you can have a block just underneath the hips if you feel it helps the hips to relax. One more breath. Use the exhale to maybe look round further. And release back to the center. Over to the other side. So right fingertips just behind you. Inhale the left arm up. Over to the outside of that right thigh. Looking over your right shoulder. Trying to keep lifted tall through your posture, and then moving and twisting from the middle of the spine, round, looking past the shoulder. Each exhalation may be looking slightly further round. One more breath. A little extra push before you come back round to the center. Good. And we're just going to take a nice little neck stretch. So we're going to bring the right ear down to the right shoulder. Then if you'd like to increase the stretch more, you can press the left wrist away from you. And if you think you can go a little bit further, just bring that right hand to the left ear. Still staying lifted nice and tall in your posture. Being gentle with the neck, not pushing too hard. One more breath. And then leaving the head where it is, firstly remove the hands back to the knees, and then slowly lifting the neck up. One breath here in the center. And bringing that ear down to the left shoulder, pressing the right wrist away from you. So it's going diagonal along and down to the floor. Maybe if you want more, bringing that hand to the head. Careful not to push too hard. We're still in our warm-up, so we're taking everything easy. One more breath. Leaving the head where it is, just remove the hands. Gently lift the neck back up. Interlace the fingers behind the head. Lift the gaze slightly and squeeze the shoulder blades behind you, expanding the elbows away from each other as much as you can. Very slightly leaning back here. And release. And then careful not to push on the head, but we're going to start to drop the chin to the chest, keeping sitting tall in the back, elbows point down to the floor. And you're just using the gentle weight of the arms to help the back of the neck stretch, but not pushing too hard on the head. One more breath, bringing that chin right into the chest. Firstly, releasing the hands, keeping the head there, and then lifting the head back up. Good. Rocking forward onto the hands, come to a tabletop position. So we want to line up the wrists with the shoulders, fingers are spread really wide. We're keeping a soft bend in the elbows, shoulders pull down the back, and then the knees come underneath the hips, hip distance apart. And we're going to just come into what we kind of call rib rotations. So it's similar to cat and cow when you're curving and arching the back, but you're moving the ribs in a circular motion. So push the ribs out to the right, and then lift and come through. You're curving the spine, and then push the ribs out to the other side. Keep that circle going, bending the back, pushing the hips up, and then keep going with that circular movement. And this is all just in your own time. So anywhere that feels tight, you can stop and stretch that area a little bit more. Maybe your lower back's tight, you could just stay in that back bend for a little while, pushing the hips up. Maybe one side feels a bit tighter. Try to really lengthen through the sides of the body as you come round. And work with your breath. Listen to your breath. Maybe changing direction if you wanted to. One more breath. And back to the center. Good. So we're just going to rest into a child's pose. So if you have a bit of difficulty in a child's pose, you can either put the block between the bottom and the heels, or just for your forehead to rest on. So either way, you could also use a pillow. So anything just to find a bit more relaxation in your stretches. Using adaptations and variations is really good because it means you're in tune with what you need. So never shy away from using a variation. So we're resting that forehead on the mat. The knees are slightly wider than the hips, so we kind of want to be able to feel the ribs against the inside of the thighs. And then if you wanted to, you could gently rock the head from side to side. So it's like you're massaging your forehead against the mats. And that can really help to bring a bit more focus into the mind if you're still maybe feeling a bit distracted, still maybe thinking about something from your day, and to just really bring you into the present moment. So use physical sensations in the body to try and really keep yourself here and present on the mat. The arms and the shoulders are just relaxed. We're going to take 3 breaths here just to be silent and have a pause. Good. And lift back up. to your tabletop position. Lining up those wrists with the shoulders, fingers are spread. Step one foot back at a time to your high plank. Good. So you can always drop the knees whenever we go into plank if it feels quite intense. Start to activate the core. So you're squeezing the belly button in back towards the spine. You're squeezing the bottom and squeezing the thighs together as if you're trying to hold something between your thighs. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. Try to broaden your back so it's like you're pulling the shoulder blades apart from each other. And then on an exhale, we're going to lift the hips and press back to our down dog. So the feet come hip distance apart now. The hands are still shoulder width apart. And we're still trying to broaden the back. So the shoulder blades pulling down the back and apart from each other. There's a soft bend in the elbows, so you're not locking into your elbow joints. And then give the head a good shake as you exhale. Really soften and release the neck. So the gaze just falls naturally between the legs. Still engaging through that core, so squeezing the belly button back towards the spine. And the weight sits back into the heels. And the hips are lifting high up to the ceiling so you can feel that extension through your lower back. And here we're just going to come into a gentle twist. So bring your right hand and then try to reach for your left ankle. If you can't reach all the way, then just reach as far as it's comfortable for you. If you can, just wrap the fingers around that left ankle and look underneath the left armpit. Twisting through the back. One more breath. Release the hands back to center. And coming on to the other side, left hand reaches and wraps around the right ankle. Looking underneath the right armpit. Keeping a bend in the elbows. One more breath. Calming back to center. Now just really slowly start to float the feet forward. So you're lifting the hips high, contracting through the belly to lift up and walking the feet gently forward to a forward fold position. So keep a soft bend in the knees to start with. And then if you need to, make sure that you lift up. So you can either have the hands above the knees, just below the knees on the shins, only on the floor if you're really extending and keeping that straight spine. So if you're here but your spine is curving, if you lift up a bit more and bring the hands to the shins, you can really push the hips up to the ceiling to extend the lower back and pull the head forward and away, and you'll feel that spine really lengthen, and that's where you get more of the benefits. You would also have the option to put a hand on your block if you wanted to as well. One more breath here. Breathe length into the back. Pull the shoulders down away from the ears, lifting the hips. Exhale, bend the knees a lot so that you can lay your stomach onto the thighs. So the knees are really bent. Curl the head in. And then we're just going to lift really nice and slowly and roll up, uncurling the back. We're really focusing on the spine, so feel your way up the back. Uncurl the lower, the middle. Finally, the upper back will uncurl and the shoulders roll up and back down. Good. Okay, so we're going to come into our first flow. We're keeping with our twist theme. So this is called a sun salutations, and it's basically just a nice moving flow. It's really important to use the breath with the movement. A very general rule is that if you're doing an upward movement or a lifting movement, then you inhale, and if you're pulling down, then you're exhaling. Try and stay really connected with that breath. So feet pressed into the earth. This is our root lock or mula bandha, which basically means you're trying to ground and glue the feet down. So you can feel all the parts of the feet pressing into the mat. The energy continues up the legs and you squeeze the thighs together like you're trying to hold a penny between the thighs. Squeezing the bottom. If you feel there's quite an arch in your lower back, then slightly tuck the bottom under so you're trying to straighten out that lower back. Udana Bandha, so our pelvic floor energy lifts all the way up. So imagine you need a wee and you're really, really squeezing. And then the abdominal muscles squeeze in and back underneath the ribs like you're being zipped up really tall. Shoulders release down, soften across the chest, soften across the face. So try not to hold any expressions in the forehead, particularly relax between the eyebrows and let the jaw release. You may want to close your eyes here for a moment. Opening the eyes. Inhale the hands to Pranamasana to the heart. Press the thumbs into the chest. Feel the heartbeat. Inhale, reach the hands over the head. Fingertips reaching up, hands are apart. Turn to your right and open the arms outward, looking to the right side. So you're twisting through the middle of the back. You're trying to twist your shoulders to face the side wall. Inhale, lift back up to the ceiling and twist to the left. Looking across to the left wall, really opening, pulling that left shoulder back. Trying to keep the hips facing forward. And inhale, reach the arms up and lower down. Uttanasana or forward fold. So make sure you keep those knees relatively soft. Keep that length through the back. Hips pushing up like you're trying to show your sitting bones up to the ceiling. And we're going to sweep the arms down, sweep the floor with your fingertips and sit back to a chair pose. So your knees bend, your knees are still tipped, feet still together, the weight going back to the heels. Brush the hands sweeping to the right side, so both arms come to the right side of the body. Lift back up to chair pose. Other side, both hands sweep to the left side of the body, twisting, and release back up, chair pose. 2, squeeze the belly in, squeeze the thighs together. 1, exhale, forward fold. Now bend the knees, inhale, step the left foot back to a low lunge. So you're on your toes with the back leg. You're trying to get a straight line from the knee down to the ankle with the right leg. Taking a nice deep breath. Now inhale, reach both arms up over the head. And just as we did standing, we're going to start to rotate over to the right. So bring the hands to the heart first, start to twist to the right. And then see if you can drop your left elbow outside of the right thigh. Doing a nice deep twist. Breathe for 2. Press the feet into the mat. 1. Now inhale as you lift, stay in your twist, but just open the arms, maybe looking behind you to your right hand. If not, just looking to the side. Keep the shoulders down, chest opening. And inhale, release back to the center. Take the hands down to the mat. Now gently start to step your back foot in toward your front foot. So you've got about 3 feet distance between the feet. Try to extend your back leg. You can have a small bend in the front knee if you need to, but extending that front leg as well if you can. And from here, you can either just keep the hands up into the shin, down the floor. If you feel stable, interlace the hands behind your back. Pull the knuckles back behind the hips so that you're lengthening your back and opening your chest and pulling your shoulders back. So we're trying to get a flat back here. So lift up as much as you need to. 1 more breath. Hands release down to the mat. Step back with that left foot, so you're in that low lunge position again. And then step back to a plank position. Remember, you can drop the knees if you needed to. If your knees are up or down. We just slowly lower onto the belly, keeping the elbows really tucked in and really controlled and slow. Feet come together, squeeze the bottom, hands are just behind the shoulders, elbows stay lifting in, and then we're going to inhale and peel up to a cobra, but we're going to twist to our right side. So look over to the right shoulder and pull the right shoulder back. And exhale, lower down. Inhale to the left, pull the left shoulder back. And release down. Tuck the toes under, bend the knees, exhale back to the down dog. Give the head a good shake, release through the neck. 3 breaths here. One. Leaning forward, that left knee tucks in and steps between the hands. It might take a couple of steps to get the foot forward, and that's okay. And then try to line up the left knee with the left ankle. Good. When you feel ready, really stick the feet, ground the feet into the mat. Inhale, lift the arms over the head. Try to really extend your back leg, so you're extending at the back of the knee. Take the hands to the heart. Then turn over to face the left side of your body. And then roll down and bring that right elbow outside of the left knee. So you're in that nice twisted prayer lunge position. Keep twisting through the middle of the back. Breathing for 2. 1. Inhale, lift up, stay in your twist. You're still facing the left side of the body. And then either look to the side or look to the back hand. The hands are open, arms extended. You're opening the chest, pulling the left shoulder back. 2. 1. And bring the hands back to the heart. Lower the hands down to the mat. Hands pressing down, and then we're going to step that back foot in a little bit. So you've got about 3 foot distance between the feet. Either hands can lift up to your shin. Careful you never press into your knee joints. Or you can have the fingertips on the floor. Remember, you can have a bend in that front knee if you need to. Now, if you feel stable enough to, interlace the hands behind the back. Push the knuckles back behind you to open and lift the chest. We're really trying to lengthen the back here. Trying to get that straight line from hips to the head and opening those shoulders. So let the shoulder blades really just come together. 1 more breath. And release the hands back down. And then we'll just step the feet together to the top of the mat in that forward fold position. So remembering to bring the hands up if you need to. They're only on the floor if you can keep that straight back. Really think about the pelvis lifting. If you're not sure if your lower back is extending, just place a hand on the lower back and try to feel the flatness. And if it's curving, just lift up a little bit. And we're going to sweep the hands down, come back to our chair pose position. So arms lift up, the weight sits back in the heels. Sweeping the arms to the right side of the body, sweep back, look behind you, lift the arms back up again. Sweep the arms to the left, twisting, and lift back up. Inhale, lift the hands up, straighten the leg, and exhale, hands to the heart. We're just going to have a moment here to pause, because I'm sure if you're like me, you're feeling warm, we've moved quite quickly. So we take a moment just to reconnect, observe the body, see what's going on. Maybe the heart beats faster. Maybe the rate of that your breathing has quickened, so just think about coming back to that rhythm of the breath. keeping the face really soft, no tension through the forehead, shoulders relax. Feel the energy through the body as well. It's nice to feel the blood pumping, a little bit of heat. Just reconnecting. And exhale the hands just down by your side. Good. We're going to come into some balance exercises. Just going to tie my hair back up so it's all come out. So for our balance, it's really a mental exercise. So even before you even start, just think to yourself, you're not going to take it really seriously, and if you get any of those critical or judgmental thoughts come into your head, you're just going to let them go and tell yourself that however it's going to go is okay, and it's just fun. So just keep it playful and lighthearted. But also our balance is different every day. If you're, depending on how you're feeling, how tired you are, even the lighting in the room, so try not to get frustrated with yourself. Okay, so just going to begin with a really simple exercise. I just really like it because it just helps you to engage in all the places that you need to mentally and physically before you start the balance. So breathing the hands to the heart, those shoulders are relaxing down, the thumbs are against the chest. And looking down toward the floor, just kind of 1.5 meters or 2 meters in front of you. Go through your checklist, so pressing the feet into the mat, and especially the toes and the sides of the feet, even more in balance because they all help us with balance. And then you can have the choice, if you want to close the eyes. If that feels like it makes you too unstable, then just keep the gaze slightly on the ground, and you can always just relax the eyes so they're sort of half closed. We're really squeezing the legs together, squeezing the bottom, and again that pelvic floor, the abdominal muscles pulling in and back underneath the ribs. Soften across the shoulders and the face. And then start to just pull your weight forward over the toes, and then see if you can bring the heels literally just off the mat, so they're almost like a CD case height off the mat. And they'll probably come down onto the mat and then slightly off and then down again. And this is the exercise. So you're meant to be wobbling and you're meant to be having to put the heels back down, because we're starting to feel the legs work more, the calf muscles really work, and even the toes are really working. So you're actually feeling how your body supports your balance. And this really just gets us engaging in all those areas. Try to use the core. It's really easy to forget the core because it's harder to feel. But really zip up through the pelvic floor and up through the abdominal muscles, squeezing the bottom. And release the heels back down. Open the eyes. Good. Okay. So you're standing at the top of your mat. We're going to breathe the arms up over the head on an inhale, and as you exhale, forward fold. Good. And then pressing hands through the mat, bending the knees. Just step 1 foot back at a time, back to your down dog position. Lift that right leg up to 3-legged dog. And then tuck that right knee forward. Might take a couple of steps, but just step between the hands. And that back heel lowers down onto the mat. So the whole back foot is on the mat, you're not on the toes. And we're lifting the arms up over the head to a warrior 1 position. Good. So from here, we're going to transfer through to our warrior 3. So you're trying to bring the body into a T shape. So transfer all the way onto your front foot. And then you can either have the hands on the hips or up above the head. Start to lean forward, lengthen through your back and lengthen through your hands like you're being pulled forward. And then start to lift the back leg And take that back leg just as high as you can as you tilt forward, trying to create that T. Keep dropping the left hip down. This position does feel really intense. So we're going to stay here for trying to do 3 breaths. Keep the foot pulling back and the hands pulling forward. 3, 2, keep squeezing the core in. 1, and release the feet back together, hands to the heart. Good. So, really grounding that left foot into the mat. We're going to lift up really nice and tall, and then lift the right knee up into the chest. Now you've got 2 options for this balance. It's a twisting balance, which makes it even harder. So the first option, first variation, is to bring your left hand across to the outside of the right thigh, have the other hand on the hip, and turn to the side like this. That's your first option. If you want to, hold the outside of your right foot and then turn to the side. And last option, if you wanted to, is to try and extend that right leg. So take the variation that you need. Try to keep lifting tall through the body. Keeping focused on that twist through the spine. Doesn't matter if you wobble, just give it another go. That's exactly what balancing is. 3, lift tall, 2, 1, maybe a final twist further, and then release back to the center. Try and bring that foot down with a bit of control. Good. Lovely. So you're going to go back onto the other side, standing at the very top of your mat. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Remembering, don't come down too low. Focus on the extension through the back. Bending the knees, hands down onto the mat. Step 1 foot back at a time, back to your down dog. Just be aware that you're not holding your breath when you're balancing, to keep that rhythm of your breath. And lift that left leg up to 3-legged dog. And then step that foot forward so it lands between the hands. Straight line, left knee down to your left ankle. Back heel drops down to the mat, so we're in Warrior 1, lifting the arms up over the head. Good. So you can take the hands to the hips for your Warrior 3 if you wanted to. Start to lean forward, leaning that weight onto the left foot. Extend through the arms. Imagine you're being pulled by your hands and start to lean forward until that back leg starts to lift. I know it's intense, but just work really, really hard while you're here. Really good conditioning for the body. That back foot's pulling away, hands pushing forward, squeezing the belly in. 3, try to keep the right hip dropping down. 2, 1, even more of a reach. And then bring the feet back together, hands to the heart. Good. Coming on to our final balance, our twisting balance. Good. So ground your right toes and your right foot into the mat. Already start to lift up through that right leg. And then lift that left knee, so that's up into the chest. Then see if you can twist towards your left side. And then maybe bringing that left hand outside, right hand outside your left leg. Getting my left and right mixed up. So you're twisting to the side, other hand can come to the hip. If you want to, hold the outside of your left foot. Then maybe start to try and extend that left leg as much as you can. Keep trying to lift tall through your posture. Doesn't matter if you fall, just give it another go again. 3, lifting taller. 2, maybe coming into a deeper twist just to finish. 1, lift that knee back into the chest. Hands to the heart, and bring the feet back together. Good, lovely. Okay, I'm just going to have a very quick sip of water, so you can grab one as well if you need. Quick time check. Oh. Good, perfect timing. Where's my Zoom gone? Okay. So we're just going to do a couple more standing postures and then come down and do some stretching on the floor. So taking the feet about wrist distance apart, so if you put your hands out, same distance as your wrists. The toes turn very slightly inward, not too much, just slightly further in than the heels, and the hands come to the hips. As you inhale, try to lift the chest up towards the ceiling, looking up slightly. And as you exhale, you're keeping a very, very micro bend in the knees and start to lower down, but only to about halfway. So you're not coming as far down as you can, and you're trying to keep a straight line through the back. The knees are still a little bit soft. If that feels very intense, you can bend the knees more or bring the hands to the ground if you need to. Try and hold it for a moment, strengthening the back. The head feels like it's being pulled forward. Make sure the weight's even between the toes and the heels of the feet. And then another inhale, and as you exhale, you can lower down a little bit further. Maybe bringing the hands to the mat or bringing the hands to the shins. Make sure you always keep a very, very subtle bend in the knees because you don't want to hurt the knee joints by locking back. Really work with your breath here. So as you inhale, you kind of give a gentle lift in the body, and then as you exhale, you try to find a deeper stretch. And that doesn't necessarily mean going lower. It might be lifting the hips up even more to focus on that extension in the lower back, which is really important. Good. Now we're just going to take a gentle twist in this stretch. If it feels quite intense on your back, because it might, because it is quite a lot of pressure in the back, then it's okay, you can come out of the stretch. If you feel able, just bring that right hand to the center line of the body on the floor, and then lift your left fingertips up to the ceiling. And pull that left shoulder back. If you want to, continue with that hand and tuck it behind the back, so that you can almost hold on to the inside of your right thigh. So really opening the shoulder. Try to keep the hips central, so they will probably have twisted quite a lot. Try to realign and then pull that shoulder back even more. Breathing for 2, 1. Release, reaching the hand up. Slowly it comes back down to the center, and we switch over. Realign your hips, realign that left hand in the center. Breathe the right fingertips up. Try to bring the hips back so they're central, and then really focus on twisting from the middle of the back. And then maybe continue with the hand to see if you can come toward the left thigh. Keep breathing that right shoulder back to open the chest. If you feel strain on your neck, you can look down, but otherwise looking up. One more breath. Inhale, pull that shoulder back. Exhale. And we'll start to release. Reach the fingertips up. Slowly lowering the fingertips back down to the ground. Good. And we're going to do a similar pattern, but we're going to sit nice and low towards the mat. So walk the feet in a little bit and then drop the hips down so that you're sitting in a yogi squat. If this is intense, you can put a block underneath the bottom so that you can sit onto the block and it gives a bit more support. And we're kind of mimicking the same movement with the hands. So just have a moment here. You might want to rock side to side, just loosening into this hip stretch. Try to lift the chest up and think about the bottom pulling underneath you. Bringing that left elbow inside your left knee. Reach the right fingertips up and twist through the body. One more breath. And release back down. Tuck the right upper arm inside the right knee, hand onto the ground. Reach the left fingertips up, opening the side of the body. One more breath. And release the fingers down. Good. And from here, we'll just lean back on the hands and sit back onto the bottom. Good. Okay. We're going to come into a couple of just quick ab exercises and then come into our stretching. So, you can have the hands behind you for this exercise. So maybe start with them behind you and then see if you can lift them up and off. So we're going to lift the feet off the ground and the knees can bend first. And then again, if you feel comfortable, you could see if you can extend the legs. So just work for what you need today. If you can, lift the arms up across toward the feet. The arms are quite open and you're opening the chest. So at any point, you can bring the hands down. If your arms are up, we're going to try and take a nice twist. If they're down, you can still take the twist, but just lifting one hand off as you twist round. If your arms are up, sweep the arms over to the right side of the body and twist your shoulders to face the right. Lift back up to the center and sweep over to face the left. You could always put one hand down and lift back up. 2 more times, twist over to the right. Lift back to the center, over to the left. Back to the center, one more time. Over to the right. And release, back to the center. And the left. And release up. And just let go. Okay. Lovely. Maybe just take a gentle forward fold, rock on the hips. Exhale, leave the chest down. Just get a nice release for a moment. Take some cleansing breaths. Good. And we're going to do the same exercise just one more time. So remembering adaptations, you can have hands down and you can bend the knees. And your variation you could take is extending the legs and lifting the arms. So sweep over to the right, twisting, really trying to twist, pulling the right shoulder back to the center, over to the left, back to the center, and right, and center, and left, and center. Last time, see if you can twist even further, right, and middle. Last one, twist, and middle. Good, release. And we're going to come and lie onto our back. Good. Just going to take a little back stretch. So if you have a block or a cushion, it might be a little bit sore with a book, but you could try with a book. We're just opening the shoulders. So you want your block to be lengthways down, or if it's a cushion, you sort of want it long ways down, and you want the block to be starting just between the shoulder blades, just slightly lower than the shoulder blades. Then we're going to lie onto our back, and basically you're wanting your shoulder blades and your head to be able to droop down onto the floor so that you can feel a real lift through your chest and allowing shoulders to open. You might have to do a bit of adjustment. And if you don't have a prop, then it's okay. You can come up onto the elbows And then just lean the head back so your elbows are like to pop. Staying here for a few breaths. Reconnecting. Observing the body, so just notice what you might be feeling. Two more slow breaths. Make sure you're breathing into your belly rather than into your chest. One breath. And gently come up onto the elbows, remove your block. We're going to come into a nice hip stretch. So lying onto your back, we're going to tuck that right knee into the chest. Give it a moment to just loosen up through the hips. And then gradually start to unfold that right leg in towards you into a hamstring stretch. So if you can, maybe try and give a little flexion to the right foot, because it just helps to lengthen the back of the leg even more. Try to keep that left leg kind of extended and down. If it feels very intense, then you can just bring that left knee into a bent position. Again, just working for what you need today. Keeping that right leg directly in front of you. And even though it can feel uncomfortable, just try to keep control of your body, keep your breathing steady. And sometimes that leg that we're stretching starts to tense up and fight and resist against us. So just check in that you're allowing that right leg to stay relaxed. Try to release those muscles in that right leg and ease your way kindly and gently into the stretch. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And again, just try to work with your breath. So as you exhale, maybe seeing if there's space for you to bring the leg in a little bit further. Always with kindness. So you don't have to go any further if you don't want to. One more breath. Maybe one last squeeze in before you release from the position. And then bend that knee, just hugging the right knee in for a moment. And then releasing that leg back down. Changing over and bringing that left knee in towards you. When you feel ready, take a breath in. Start to extend that left leg. And then as you exhale, begin to bring that leg in towards you. See if you can flex the left foot a little bit. And then just the same as we did on the other side. Firstly, tune into your breath. Check you're breathing into your belly. And then just check in with your left leg. See if you're tensing anywhere that you don't need to be. The body kind of resists because it goes into self-protection mode to try and prevent getting hurt. So when you've got control over your body, you can tell your body where to relax and then get a nicer and deeper stretch. So just keep really aware and keep really focused. And we'll take 3 deep breaths, trying to use each exhalation to just one more breath, maybe one last squeeze if it feels okay. And bend that left knee, hugging the knee in for a moment, and then release down. Good. We're going to come into our bridge pose. So the heels walk in as close as you can to the hips. Palms are flat into the mat. Shoulders pulling down away from the ears. And then we squeeze the bottom. We make sure we keep the knees in line with the hips the whole time and start to lift the hips up to the ceiling Maybe walk up onto the shoulders a little bit to get more lift in the hips. If it feels very intense, you can put your hands on your lower back just to support yourself a bit more. Two more breaths, lifting, squeezing the bottom. One more. Roll your way down the back. So start with upper, middle comes down, lower back, and eventually your hips come last. Hold there for a moment because we're going to do the same thing again. The knees are straight in front of you. I'm not talking through the wheel pose today, but if wheel pose is in your practice and you want to do it, then you go for it. Otherwise, we're going to come with me and do the bridge pose. So keeping those knees in line, palms on the mat. Squeeze the bottom, lift up. This is really activating the bottom and the lower back muscles. So squeeze and lift. The chest is coming toward the chin. Two more, squeeze and lift. One more push. And roll your way down the back. Middle, lower, lastly your hips. Good. So we're going to finish today with our shoulder stand. Now, shoulder stand has got lots of different level options. If you haven't done it before, then that's okay. I'll talk through it nice and gradually. If you're really confident with shoulder stand, you've done it loads of times, then you can just go straight into your pose now. And if not, I'm going to talk through some variations. Let's quickly do a time check. Perfect. Good for time. Okay. So if you've not done your shoulder stand before, you might want to use something underneath your lower back. And that could be a little cushion or a blanket folded up. And then you're putting your hips and your lower back onto the cushion and the middle and upper back onto the floor. It just gives you an extra little lift. The elbows stay really close toward the body and your legs do the work by counterbalancing your weight. So you lift your legs up, you shuffle your hands just where that pillow was on your lower back. And then as the legs move over the head, you can kind of walk the hands a little bit further up. So they're still on your lower back, but just a little bit towards the middle. And this is like a half shoulder stand. So you're not in that complete straight line, not all the weight is on your shoulders. You're kind of halfway there. You might want to stay there. You might want to stay with your lower back on the blanket, and that's still good. If you want to go a little bit further, start reaching the toes even more up. Take the hands a little bit further down the back and walk up onto the shoulders. Make sure you really squeeze the bottom and also squeeze the tummy in. Legs push together and the toes are pointed and lifting. If you were to come down, just make sure you counterbalance your legs over the head and roll down slowly, and don't let your head flip up off the floor because that can give you whiplash in your neck. So you keep the neck soft. If you're really comfortable in your shoulder stand and you want more of a nice stretch down the neck and shoulders, then start to lower the feet towards the floor. And then when it feels right and your weight is over the head, bring the palms down to the mat, just so that in case you roll down, your palms there to support you. So it doesn't matter if the feet don't touch the floor, you can just have them going toward the floor. If they do touch, then you can practice a little twist here. So you could walk both feet over to the right side of the body and feel that twist in the back. Couple of more breaths here. And then maybe walking the toes over to the left. Couple more breaths. And release the feet back to the center. And then everybody, wherever you are, lifting back up to your full shoulder stand. So the hands are on the lower back, And then start to lower the hips toward the ground or toward your blanket or cushion if you have support. Palms come down onto the mat. Lower the hips. Use the legs to counterbalance your way down. Try not to let the head flip up. Good. Eventually come just onto lying on your back, removing your support. And we always do our fish pose after our shoulder stand, just to release the neck, stretching it in the opposite direction. So we're going to lift up onto the elbows. If you wanted to do your supported fish pose again, just using the block under the back, you could. We're up onto the elbows and we're lifting the chest. And you're letting the head just completely drop back. So they're not holding onto any of the neck muscles. Neck is completely soft. One more breath. And then gently lifting the head and walking back down to a lying position. And we're going to do one last twist before we come into our Shavasana practice, our relaxation. And that's going to be the spinal twist that we started with. So you might hopefully see a bit of a difference after the class. So we're going to squeeze that right knee in. Left leg stays stretched out. And then we're going to bring that knee over to the floor. Maybe looking over to the right hand. And try to lower your right shoulder down toward the floor as well. And really release through the body. You're not forcing anything on this stretch. Just letting go. Gravity does the work. One last breath here. Release back up to the center. That right leg straightens out and the left knee hugs in. So it's 90 degrees. And then we let that left knee drop over to the side. And then maybe look over toward the left hand or just straight up to the ceiling. Really concentrate on those long exhalations and use that space in the body to feel a deeper twist. One more breath. Release back to the center. And we're going to come into our relaxation. So anything you need to get comfortable, a blanket over the body, sometimes maybe a pillow underneath the knees if you want to keep a bend in the knees, if you have any knee pain. Sometimes if you've got lower back pain, bending the knees a little bit helps. Maybe a sip of water. Find a comfortable position. And that could either be resting the hands out to the side, so they're away from the body and you're allowing the shoulders to roll out. Or it may be resting the hands across the stomach, whatever feels comfortable for you. I'm going to be in a sitting position just so that I can guide you through our relaxation. Begin to listen to your breath. Feel the journey of the breath through the body. And that really peaceful rise and fall, the stomach and the chest as you breathe. And there's absolutely no need to try and change or control your breathing now. So we're not doing a breathing exercise or anything like that. We're simply observing our breath, just to allow more focus, to feel more connected to ourselves. And in our Shavasana, we're trying to allow ourselves to be still. Because when we can allow the body to be still, the mind starts to become more still. And this can be difficult because we feel lots of urges to move or distractions. But the more you practice just ignoring those distractions, bringing yourself back to your breath, you'll find it easier to be still each time. Any thoughts that come into the mind, just acknowledge that you're thinking and then allow the thoughts to just float by like clouds. So choosing not to become involved with them. You're choosing to always gently guide yourself back to that focus on the breath. Trying to help the mind to clear. And it's okay if it feels frustrating at times. That's normal. And you don't have to have any expectations or judgments on yourself. As you observe your body, just scan through from the head to the toes. And just notice if you are holding any muscles or tension. Relaxing across the forehead, the eyebrows. Releasing through the jaw. You don't have to change the position of the shoulders, but just as you breathe, just try to imagine them grounding down into the mat, allowing them to be heavy and supported by the mat. And this wave of calm and relaxation is flowing all the way down, across those shoulders, all the way down to the fingertips, softening across the chest, feeling lightness in the heart, and releasing all the way down the back. Feeling your breath moving into the back, feeling that space that you've created in the spine, around the ribs. There might be some feelings of discomfort if you haven't mobilized the back in a while, and that's okay. All the way down, relaxing the stomach, across the hips, and right down to the toes. Breathing in relaxation, and breathing out any tension and any worries. Bringing a bit of energy and slow movement into the body. So very gradually, just starting with the toes and the fingers, moving slightly bigger, and then maybe eventually reaching the arms up over the head, pointing the toes away from you and lengthening through the body, just like how you'd stretch out in the morning, reaching, and then eventually rolling onto the right side and just curling up into the fetal position for a moment. And just still trying to keep those eyes closed and keeping a calm state in the body. And again, keeping the eyes closed, just gently lift yourself up to sitting and cross the legs. Make sure you're sitting forward onto the sitting bones and rest the hands onto the knees. Shoulders are rolled down and the chin is very slightly dropped. Take a moment to notice any changes in the body. Anything that feels different from before the class. Perhaps an area that just feels softer, or maybe something that you felt worried about, a burden that just feels a bit heavier, a stress that feels more manageable now. Maybe just noticing an overall sense of calm in the mind and in the body. Bring the hands to the heart and press the thumbs into the chest, listening and connecting with your heartbeat. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free. Slowly bow the head down and open the eyes. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me today. Come and turn that